are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano,
host of Locked On Rays, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making the Locked On Rays podcast your first listen every day. And remember, Locked On Rays is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube at Locked On Rays. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Rays, and you can email us anytime, lockedonrays@gmail.com. Ulises, usually we have a Monday takeaways episode, but considering the influx of emails and voice memos that we continue to get, we figured why not do a third and final installment for now of yet another mailbag episode on the Tampa Bay Rays.
I'm loving these. I'm loving these mailbags. I think we're allowing people to express themselves, and you get the fandom to kind of vent with us and grieve with us, and you know, it's a cathartic experience to be a fan of a team. So I think we should all be allowed to have a space so we can all kind of yell out in frustration. And this is great. I love it. And so let's keep it going.
Going to be a long off season, so keep sending in those.
Oh boy, yes it is. Since 2018, Kevin, it hasn't been this long of an off season. So here we go.
Oh my goodness. I don't even want to think about that 2018 team. Gross. How that team won 90 games.
It was a college team. Amazing. It was lovely.
Oh my gosh. All right, let's get rolling here. This one from Kyle Rodriguez. He says, I am listening from Pennsylvania. I started listening to you guys this year and became a big fan. Thank you. My question for you guys is whether or not you think any postseason performances will have any impact on off-season moves. Not saying this should happen, but for example, how does Brandon Lau's postseason performances factor into when the trades inevitably start flying around in spite of his great regular season? On the flip side, do you see guys like Wander or Randy getting any longer-term deals?
Wow, that's a loaded question right there. No, I don't think Brandon Lau is in any danger. I don't think he's going to get traded. I don't think he's going to be bad. Be in the lower half of the lineup next year. No, I think Brandon Lau is just a cornerstone, and he's going to be there no matter what. At least for next year, for sure. Next year, Brandon Lau will be wearing a Rays uniform. That's number one.
Can I just put this into perspective again? $4 million next year for a 5-WAR player, near 5-WAR player, 5-WAR position player. Moreover, if we just want to look at this, look, we're all sulking about the 0-for-18 slump that he was in, but at the end of the day, and yes, they were the 4 most important games of the year for the Rays, but it was still a 4-game slump. And I know it's carried over in 2020 postseason struggles and 2019 postseason struggles, but I don't think anything, we've kind of addressed this already. I don't think anything's happening to Brandon Lau for next season anyway. So.
No. And you know what? If you don't like WAR, if you don't like analytics, I'll just put it this way. A guy that can drive in close to 100 rubies and has 39 home runs, you don't just give him away because of a 4-game slump. So I get it, 2019 and 2020 postseason, but yeah, he's staying. So Moving on from that, on the flip side, do you guys see Wander or Randy getting long-term deals? Again, I think a lot of these questions are really good, but they're going to be hinging on the CBA. What about the collective bargaining agreement that's expiring in the first week of December? What are the negotiations going to be like? Because if we see something like, there's going to be a salary floor of $100 million. Well, now the Rays are in the lucky camp, at least Rays fans are, that you get to see 30 million plus being added to this team. And if I were a Rays fan, I wouldn't be like, oh, you know what? Let's get that guy and let's get that guy and let's get that other guy. Nope. Give me the in-house talent, a Brandon Lau type contract, maybe even more. And that's where I would sign Wander Franco. That's where I would sign Randy Arozarena. That's where I would sign, honestly, Shane Baz.
Yeah.
They did it with Chris Archer. when he was young, and boy, did that turned out to be such a good contract. They did it with Matt Moore, and that turned out to be a pretty good contract too. It wasn't an albatross either. So you can do that with young pitchers. I would do it with Shane Baz and Wander Franco and Randy Arozarena, of course.
It's been a while since the Rays have given a contract extension to a guy.
Yeah.
I think Blake Snell, believe it or not, was the last guy. That was March of 2019.
Yeah.
And they've actually had conversations with Randy Arozarena, but nothing ever quite materialized.
Right.
And I read some reports that the Rays started to sour a little bit on Randy after his arrest in Mexico. And you know what? At the end of the day, it really may not make all that much sense for the Rays to give Randy Arozarena a contract extension, considering that he won't be arbitration eligible until I think the 2024 season.
Yes.
Where he'll be 29 years old, and he won't be a free agent until 2027. And by that point, I would think the Rays would probably move on from there. Wander Franco, I'm sure the Rays would absolutely like to lock him up long-term, but I'm sure that he has a figure in mind, and if that figure is not met, he will hedge his bets. And that'll be a discussion as to that this will have to be a future episode. You know, what would it take to sign Wander? Because I think he's looking at that Tatis contract. He's looking at whatever Juan Soto is going to get, whatever Vlad Guerrero is going to get. He wants to be part of that conversation. He probably wants to meet or surpass some of those records. I'll just say this. I don't think you're getting him for a Ronald Acuna 8-year, $100 million deal. I could be wrong, but I think he would hold out for something bigger and better, in my opinion, as it stands right now anyway.
You gotta think so, but that's how I would look at it. I and your Randy point, because why would you give a guy more money if you're still going to maybe trade him by ARB 2? If that's the plan of trading Randy by the time he's 30, and that's ARB 1, ARB 2, why give him the deal? Obviously, you could give him the deal, and then you could get better pieces back. Yeah, that would be an investment of sorts, but ultimately, I think Wander Franco is more likely to get a long-term deal than Randy, but we'll see, of course.
Okay, what else do we have, Ulises?
We've got a voice memo from a longtime listener, Austin Holloway. So let's check in with Austin and see what he has to say.
Hey guys, Austin Holloway here. When the Rays finally do bring home that trophy, when they finally win the World Series, will the starters contribute more innings than the bullpen? We saw it in 2020, and we saw a little bit of it in 2021. The amount that Kevin Cash uses his bullpen, it taxes him. It tires him out way too quick, and you just got to have those horses to ride through October. I'm looking forward to what you guys have to say. I thank you for a great regular season and a great divisional series, I guess, and look forward to hearing from you guys in the offseason. Thanks.
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
That is a really good question. You know what? It's not just the Rays that are doing this. Everybody around baseball is turning on to this philosophy or idea. Just look at what's going on in the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
Currently, Max Scherzer's only throwing 4 innings. Okay. Yeah. Ian Anderson's only throwing 3 innings. Nate Eovaldi has become a 5-and-dive guy. Chris Sale has become a 2-3 inning guy. I think in game 1 of the NLCS, the Dodgers used 8 relievers.
Yeah.
8 pitchers, not a starter. Like this is what it's become. The throws just basically piggybacking multi-inning relief guys. Okay, we'll have Christian Javier throw 2 innings. We'll have Framber Valdez throw 2 innings, and then we'll piece it together. So I am leaning towards, just giving you my answer here, Ulises, as of right now, and I think there will be a point where this becomes a cyclical thing, and it's going to have to get back to normal or what we have known traditional starters to be, at least a couple of them. But if the Rays are only training their guys to be 4 or 5 inning guys, if they're not going to let Drew Rasmussen throw more than 5, if they're not going to let Shane Baz go deeper than 5 or 6, then I would lean toward, the bullpen throwing more innings. And I think there's going to be an emphasis on more Colin McHugh types as well. So that's just what I see as of today, as of right now. And we know the Rays are a team that it's not very often that they've got Charlie Morton and Blake Snell into the fold. They're working with a lot of young pitchers right now, and they're trying to protect those arms, and they don't have that, that Justin Verlander, Zach Greinke type, the Kershaw type guys. So I think I think it'd be close, but I think the bullpen at the end of the day, when you include the openers and everything that they do, that they would throw more innings than the Rays if and when the Rays do get a World Series.
You've seen it, 2020, 2021, how it's been like 50-50 between the bullpen and the starters. I have to disagree, though. I think you only see that in 2021 because of the repercussions of 2020. No baseball. You very 60 games for some of the guys that actually played. So you had to take care of the arms in 2021. I have to believe that just because we have seen it in other teams, it doesn't mean that this is now the new trend. I think the trend this year was, let's take care of our arms. Everybody, all together. We've made it to the playoffs. Let's not blow anybody's shoulder off. Let's take care of each other. But in 2022, when you have now had a 162 game season where you kind of, used the kid gloves on a lot of your pitchers, now I think you can see a little bit more innings put on the on the starters. If you see McClanahan averaging 5 innings, I would expect that to go up. Drew Rasmussen, a guy who has never started before, I would expect 4 to 5 innings to be a 5 2/3. I would expect Shane Baz, who had been giving 6 innings and 5+ in AAA and AA, I would expect that guy to now be a 5 2/3 kind of guy too in major leagues. Now, Patino is the question mark. I think Patino is the one that they've kind of held back a little bit more than the other 3. So we'll see if he even is a 5 and dive guy. But I have to believe that we've seen it across MLB. It's because of 2020 and the repercussions that happened. It's not, I hope it's not a trend, because there is something, and call it sentimentalism or whatever, or boomer. I'm a boomer, but I would rather, and this is just a style of watching playoffs, I would rather go head to head, 2 aces. I would rather see Shane Baz go 7 innings against Nathan Eovaldi.
Right.
I just do. That's just the baseball I prefer. And you, listener, if you disagree, that's the type of baseball that you don't want to see, and that's okay. But all I'm saying is that's the baseball I'd rather watch. But then again, as a Rays fan, I just want to get the W's, and to get to the postseason. That's the type of baseball that helps you get to the postseason. Now, in the postseason, that's a whole different ball game, and that's a whole nother different question.
Now, the whole wrinkle, though, is if the Rays throw in one of those bullpen days, because I think the question is, I think it gets to a point where the Rays, maybe they are okay with one or both of the Shanes throwing 6 or more innings.
Okay.
But what about the rest of the rotation? Are they going to allow, or do they just say, screw it, we're doing a couple bullpen days, or we're going to piece it together? So
you got to know your horses.
Yeah.
Is Shane Baz and Shane McClanahan the only guys who will throw 6? I guess Drew Rasmussen. Again, the thing is, with the 2 pitches, you got to have a third one. That's what happened to Tyler Glasnow. So let's see the evolution of this pitching staff. Is Drew Rasmussen going to elevate that usage of the changeup or curveball or whatever may have you? I mean, Tyler Glasnow was nails after he got that slutter working in 2021, that third pitch to keep guys off space. So we'll see if that happens.
I think another thing that kind of I lean towards more bullpenning, if you will, is now guys are they have technology, they have real-time metrics that say, is this guy losing some stamina? Is he losing a tick of velocity? Is he losing a tick of spin? And when that, how many times do they show a shot of the dugout and the coach or the manager or a player is staring at an iPad?
Well, Scherzer, they said it. Apparently, his fastball velo had gone down 1.5 miles since the last inning. So they were like, okay, he's toast.
Yeah. Speaking of which, if the Rays do continue to go with this bullpenning idea, I think you have to invest or keep around some of your veterans. Think about, I would looked up some of the numbers of some of the guys that the Rays let go from last year's bullpen or 2020's bullpen, John Curtis, Jose Alvarado, Aaron Loop, pretty darn good numbers. Pretty darn good numbers in the aggregate. So just throwing that out there. Today, we want to tell you about a simple way to get all the entertainment you love without the hassle. It's called DirecTV Stream. DirecTV Stream brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, which means you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. And the best part of it all, there's no annual contract. So stop waiting and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Okay, Ulises, going into the mailbag again, still have several more questions to get through on today's show. This one from Mia Franz. She says, thanks as ever for the podcast. It's given me a chance to grieve and to rage a little over the past several days. Friday, Sunday, and Monday just felt like a desperate patchwork of arms. And I found myself thinking, even if we pull out an ALDS win, how are we ever going to survive the ALCS and the World Series like this? My question is, if we don't have a full rotation of starters next year, can we ever truly make it all the way? Even with Shane squared and maybe Drew, we're still pretty light on aces. Is it possible to dominate in the postseason this way?
Again, this is kind of like the question that we just had. The answer to answer this, Mia, we gotta hope. First of all, no, I don't think you can just bullpen your way to a championship. I don't think so. They get tired. I mean, these are human beings. Like, just because on the Excel spreadsheet is a great matchup against this guy, but like the rest management, that has actually become a lexicon between fans. Like the rest management, you have to rest these guys. You have to be good at taking some days off. The problem is, because the games are so heavily invested into either you go home or you keep going, you sometimes push your high leverage guys to the point where they become Nick Anderson in 2020 and their arm falls off. But then again, sometimes you're going to be in a situation where you say, do I go with my high leverage guy who's tired, or my B low leverage guy who hasn't been used that much but is a low leverage guy?
Right.
That's why I don't think you can just bullpen your way through the ALDS, the ALCS, and then a World Series. It's very, very difficult. It'll be your most difficult 11 wins. So no, you can't do that. But, like I said in the first segment, what do we see from Shane McClanahan, Shane Baz, Drew Rasmussen, and Luis Patino in length? That's going to be, because if you start to see that they're still going 4 innings out, 5 innings out with like less than 80 pitches, like we saw in 2021 multiple times, then get worried, Mia, because then what happened in the postseason in 2020 and 2021, we're going to see in 2022. The Rays will make it to the postseason.
Yes.
But we'll see the same unfortunate end.
And it's kind of weird thinking with the bullpenning idea, because there's a reason that guys are in the bullpen.
Right.
Either they didn't have the skills or the skill set or the variety of pitches to make it as a starter, or they didn't have the stamina or endurance to make it as a starter. Ideally, in a perfect world, you would like, hey, every guy we can develop into a starter and deploy as we want to, but it usually doesn't work out that way. And, speaking to Mia's question there, look, I don't think there's going to be any question that the Rays will find a way to have enough starters, a full rotation of starters. I think the question is, will they be good enough? Will they be top-notch enough? Will there be a true ace and a true number 2 and a true number 3?
Right.
What are the Shane's development pathways and Drew's development pathway? And maybe, look, in the playoffs, normally you don't need that number 4 or number 5 guy, or you don't need them to start necessarily. So, I'm sure that, during the, if you really wanted to put together a full rotation, you can throw in Yarbrough and Dietrich Enns and Tommy Romero or something like that. Like you can get, I think they'll find enough arms to get through it, but it's just, is your number one and number two, are they postseason worthy? Are they good enough to power you through the postseason? I think that's a big question.
That's a big question, and we'll have to see their development throughout the offseason and then in the regular season. And again, you talk about only needing 3 guys throughout the postseason. That's true, but it's so much better if you have 4. And the Rays have 4. They really do. Patino, the 2 Shanes, and Drew. So if these 4 guys can really step up in 2022, then don't worry about it. Yeah, if you see them going 6 innings on the regular, boom, then the postseason is going to be fun. If you see the 5 and dive with less than 80 pitches and nobody became Nick Anderson of 2019, Nick Anderson of the 2020 regular season, nobody did that in the postseason in 2020.
Yeah,
nobody. Everybody got hurt. Everybody got hurt with shellacking.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the issue. If you're going to bullpen, you better have a Mariano Rivera. You better have a Nick Anderson there. You might even have an Emilio Pagan of 2019 where you can just okay, no, we ultimately trust this dude. The Rays did not have that guy. When they did have that guy, they used him in a 5-0 game in Game 4.
I miss some good old-fashioned pitchers duels, moving the game along, and that's what I love about it. It's like 2-hour, 2-hour 10, 2-hour 15-minute games. When you get into, all right, each team's going to use 9 different pitchers. All right, looking at the clock here, it's been a 4.5-hour game. What are we doing, guys?
We're going to get called boomers by the listeners here. But look, man, I do miss the 7-inning guys and the 6. I'm not even asking for 7 innings, Kevin, for real. I'm just asking for 6. Give me 6. Give me a quality start.
Tall order.
My goodness.
Yarbrough can give you 6, but he might give you 5 or 6 earned runs in addition to that.
Hey-yo.
So, okay, what else do we have in the mailbag here?
We've got Tanner Jones, who says, hi, guys. Love the podcast. Well, thank you, Tanner. People seem to forget about Yonny Chirinos. He could potentially be one of our starters next season. I assume he should be healthy. Well, thank you, first of all, Tanner, to send us this comment. Yes, apparently he is healthy, and he looks really, really good, physically speaking. Another listener, Michael Palumbo, who had the ins and outs of Tropicana Field, he actually saw him in I believe late July or early August. He saw him warming up, and he looked really, really good. So that's good news for the Rays. And yes, people do forget about Yonny Chirinos. Remember when Yonny and Ryan Yarbrough both came in at the same time and they were both treated with openers? There was Team Yonny and Team Yarbs.
Yes.
I feel like Team Yonny is going to get redemption here in 2022. I think Yonny is just chomping at the bit saying, let me get back in there. And he's got a spot. He has got a spot to get in there, because Josh Fleming, they might switch him over to the bullpen as we saw later in the year. So that 5th rotation spot is open, and he's done the opener, and they know that he has been successful with that and without the opener too. So we'll see.
Yeah. I just wonder about how cautious the Rays are with bringing him back into the fold. I don't know if they would slip him in immediately as a starter or say, okay, we're going to have you work 1, then 2, then 3, then 4 innings, sort of like I guess they did in a way with Drew Rasmussen, and went from there. And yeah, Yonny Chirinos is a guy that we talked about him a little bit, but assuming if he's able to return to his old self, that's a really, really good number 4, number 5.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, when he pitches to his potential, he's a number 3.
Yeah.
If you look at his career, 3.65 ERA, 1.139 WHIP, and 199 strikeouts across 3 seasons and 234 innings. I mean, he was really, for the most part, overshadowed by Glasnow and Morton and Snell. But and what I like about Chirinos too is, he brings a different look than some of the other pitchers out there. How many Rays pitchers throw a split finger?
Oh my goodness.
So I think that's one thing.
The movement on that sinker too.
The movement on all of his pitchers.
Yeah.
The sinker, the splitter, the slider. And he'll, I know he'll work the sinker 92, 93, but he also has a 4-seam that he'll ride 95, 96, 97 at times. So I like what he brings to the table for sure. It's just about are they going to be ready to go from, okay, you threw 11 innings in 2020, and then you got hurt, to are you ready to throw 120, 130, 140 innings? I wonder if there's I think they'll have to be very, I almost wonder if he's going to go into a Colin McHugh role.
You know what? You could use him as an opener himself.
Yeah.
To get it started as an opener, and then boom, you put a Fleming or whatever, a number 5 spot there, Tommy Romero. But I think by the end of the season, you could see him being stretched out to 4 or 5 innings, and that would be glorious. I mean, honestly, if I see Yonny Chirinos pitch 100 innings for the Rays, things are going good for the Rays.
The only thing I'm a little bit not concerned about, but something to monitor with Yonny Chirinos, I know in 2019 he was very, very susceptible to the long ball when he left his pitches up.
Yeah.
And in the AL East and in some of those ballparks, and you have the Blue Jays.
Oh, yeah.
And you have the Red Sox and you have the Yankees, that could mean for a lot of home runs. So that's just something to watch out for going forward.
You got to keep the ball down, just like Built Bar helps you keep the calories down.
Hey, there we go.
130, 180 calories per bar. They have a lot of chocolate, and yet they are so, so healthy. You've got double chocolate, cookies and cream, peanut butter brownie. You've got cherry barcia. You've got raspberry. You've got them all, people. So you've got to go to built.com. And once you get all your flavors in check, in line, do not hit the buy or purchase button. Hit that promo code beforehand. It's LOCKED15. That's LOCKED15 to get 15% off on your order. So remember, go to built.com to get some delicious, healthy Built Bars filled with chocolate. We all like chocolate. I bet Yonny Chirinos likes chocolate too. So get yourself some Built Bars, promo code LOCKED15 today.
All right, couple more questions here. This one from Jake Stokes. He says, maybe with the bullpen guys getting healthy and the possible addition of more pitching help next year will be even better. Shane, Drew, and Luis got some valuable experience and are a damn good patient at a quality vet or two, and I love where we are going next year.
I love this mailbag episode. People are honing in on what they expect to do in the offseason and to see in the next playoffs, and that's pitching. Say it, pitching. Okay. Look, man, I think, again, the 4 guys, you've got Drew, Shane Squared, and Luis, hopefully. Then you've got a nice piece like Yonny Chirinos, like we just talked about. That's nice to know. Josh Fleming, depending on how he's going to be stretched. Kevin said, Tommy Romero is out there for the graphs. Dietrich Enns. Did anybody like how Dietrich Enns looked? I did.
Yeah. Brent Honeywell,
hello. Although Brent Honeywell is a strange case. Yeah. Because he had the 4 years on the 60-day IL. So I don't know if he has become a minor league free agent or a major league free agent. I know he has a funky. They gave him an extra year of the 60-day IL, but let's hold on the Brent Honeywell talk. I gotta find out about that. But yeah, man, you've got a lot of names for that 5th spot.
Question. So Jake mentioned add a quality vet or two. Is there any way, or do you think, gut reaction right now, that they bring back Yarbrough? He's a veteran. They bring back Waka. He's a veteran. And or they kick the tires again on Chris Archer. He's a veteran.
Do I think or do I want?
Do you think? I think I know your answer for want.
I think I
know everybody's answer for want.
Okay, so we're on the no.
But again, there is the idea that it's a 162-game season.
You need arms.
You gotta have arms.
Look, I can see them going after Waka again, saying, look, we liked what we saw when he dropped the cutter off. Can we show him the data saying, if you drop that, you can become a legit good 5 for this rotation? I wouldn't be surprised if that were to happen. And again, because of the irregular season that he had, I wouldn't expect his salary to go up from $3.5 million already. It would be around that area, 3.5. So maybe even an increase because of time spent in MLB. So maybe $5 million for Waka. I can see that. I cannot see the Archer thing. 19 and a third. Like what? You're just going to give this money to a guy who just couldn't, throw the ball for more than 20 innings? 19 and a third for $6.5 million. I don't think you should go down that road. And Yarbs, he's got traded, label all over him.
Yeah. And I didn't even mention McHugh, but McHugh might have priced himself out of Tampa Bay and may have earned him a multi-year deal, and very good for him. But, I don't know if Jake is trying to goad us here, but I don't see the Rays going after, offering $8, $10, $12 million to bring in a name, so to speak, or a guy. Okay, let's. I don't see the Rays kicking the tires even on Corey Kluber or of last year, Robbie Ray of last year, Marcus Stroman of last year,
Drew Smiley of the $9 million.
Like when I think of the Rays going after and adding a veteran, I'm thinking of like Martin Perez.
He's saying quality vet. Quality vet to me means a guy who can put up better numbers than Michael Wacha did in 2020 and both in 2021. That is too pricey
for the Rays.
Yeah. So no, I don't. Jake, to answer your question, no, I do not see them adding a quality vet. I do see them adding a vet,
a bounce back candidate.
There we go. That's a nice way of saying it.
Yeah.
A bounce back vet. I do see that. A Michael Wacha once again. I see that, Jake, but I do not see the, oh man, he had a great season and he's up for 1 year deal.
Right.
Nope. Let's get Rays Nation. Not happening.
Yeah.
Let's not get our hopes
And
up.
I know that like Corey Kluber and some of those other guys were bounce back candidates, but again, I don't think the Rays are going to spend that type of money. No. It's going to have to be a very reasonable bounce back candidate. In fact, I don't know if they'll go out there and offer a starting pitcher or a pitcher of any means more than $5 million.
I think they liked what they did last time. Take $12 million for one Blake Snell and turn it into Wacha, Archer, McHugh, and Rich Hill. Turn it into 4 guys, and all of those 4 guys are going to give you as many innings as one Blake Snell does. I think you can see that again.
Yeah, take Kiermaier's salary and divvy that up to 4 or 5 different pitchers and see what you get out.
I can see that more than adding a quality vet.
Okay, last one here, Ulises. What do we got?
We have Chris Worthen, and let's hear what he has to say.
Some things, especially given the way this series ended. But here are my thoughts now. I mean, it's just a lot of things went wrong for the Rays. A lot of it self-inflicted. A lot of it, where MLB does its usual acting blind, obstruction of Randy Arozarena running the bases. Renfroe, I don't think he did. It obviously wasn't purposefully, but it hit off his leg over the wall. It was just a lot of things that just didn't go the Rays' way. Like I said, a lot of self-inflicted, a lot of it not. Let's just hope the Rays will make the right moves in the offseason, and hopefully we'll have a chance next year. With that being said, I enjoy listening to your show, and we'll continue to listen all offseason. Go Rays.
Yeah, I think he sums it up pretty well there, Ulises. It's like as if the Rays didn't shoot themselves in the foot with some of the managerial moves and some of not taking advantage with runners in scoring position and guys not performing up to snuff. There were some other things really out of the team's control. The obstruction call.
Yeah.
Renfroe gate.
Yeah.
The umpire ball strike zone. And those things add up.
No,
those things add up.
They do. But I mean, look, we have to turn the page, and that's why this mailbag episode or mailbag episodes.
Yeah.
That's why they're important, to get it all out. I think Chris feels exactly like he sounds.
Frustrated,
sad, angry. I think we're all right there, man.
Yeah.
So it's okay. Look, you 29 fan bases are going to be sad every year. 29. We were so close last year to being not in those 29. Unfortunately, that happened. This year, quicker than expected. And yes, there were extenuating circumstances outside of the race force, but even if you take the bat strike calls and the obstruction calls and the bounce back and no judgment calls, at the end of the day, if the Rays do not Kevin Crash some situations, if the Rays pitch better in some situations, if the Rays don't strike out as much as they do, if all-star players behave like all-star players in the postseason, we are watching Rays baseball tonight, ALCS Game 3. But we're not. And you know what? Again, I'll say it again. I'll say it as many times as I think about it. The thing that sucks about this, not only that you lose against the Red Sox, but the fact that nobody ever will remember that it was because of 2 straight walk-offs. Nobody's going to remember that. Everybody's just going to remember, oh yeah, the 100 Rays season, yeah, they got beaten by the Red Sox in a gentleman's sweep. It was 2 walk-offs in a row. It's a bleeping coin toss. I'm back in it again. Damn it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess we're all in agreement that we're all rooting for the Braves to win this thing. It can't be the Dodgers.
Braves.
It can't be the Astros, and it can't be the Red Sox.
Cannot be an American League team. I'm going National League, and it can't be the damn Dodgers. No, let's go Braves. Pa, 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 pa.
Hey, the fighting Travis d'Arnaud's.
There you go.
Fighting Charlie Morton.
Yes.
Is Guillermo Heredia still on the team?
Yes, and he did a little whoopsie yesterday in center field. Guillermo.
Did he drop one?
No, he kind of like he went for it, but then the ball came behind him. So yeah, it's a scary situation for a center fielder to do.
Replacement level. Guillermo Heredia is replacement level as they come. The fact that they're throwing him out there in a meaningful championship series game is quite
amazing. Yeah. So that's why I even more. Go Braves. Let's go Braves.
All right. Well, I hate to make this joke, but we, as Rays fans, may have to start rooting for the Braves 6-7 years from now.
Oh, stop it. It's not that kind of episode.
I know. But
gross.
Let me look. There's 29 fan bases that'll exit the season unhappy, but 28 of them know that they'll still have their team in their city long term
for decades. I saw this. Apparently, Brian Ald is having a talk at the Cuban Club Ballroom on November 12th.
Yeah.
You know what the title of it is?
I did see that. Something about the Rays are super serious about Montreal.
The title of this talk, people, by the president of Rays Baseball is "The Rays Aren't Kidding Around About Montreal." Who's running point on PR? Is intern McGee working for Brian Ald?
I think so, because from what I understand, there was a huge PR exodus. So I don't know if they even have a PR staff to speak of right now. It's pretty bad.
Intern McGee, stop it. He's like hacking into the Race baseball.
And the graphic wasn't very good either. It was like an elementary school flyer.
Oh, yeah. It looks like done on paint.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was some very cheap, like clip art, word art graphic. Not to criticize whoever made that, but I think it was very hastily
not their best
put
work
together. Who knows? It might have been the Cuban Club that put together the flyer.
The title, that's all Rays baseball or all Brian Ald. So
that's a shame.
Not great, Brian.
No, not at all. Okay. On that note, thank you again for making the Locked On Rays podcast your first listen every day, and we will be back tomorrow. In the meantime, be sure to check out the Locked On